by News and Television. I am Augusta Neka, and today we are going to be talking about recovering the 102 communities seized and annexed by the Fulani Herdsmen in Plateau State. We have as our guest the CEO, Emancipation Center for Crisis Victims in Nigeria, Dalia Solomon Esquire. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
My pleasure to be here.
All right. Now, before we go ahead, can you give us a brief historical background that this particular report and the petition you submitted is based on?
Yeah, actually, it is a non-fact that ever since 2001 to date, Plateau State and the Middle Belt have been subjected to a series of armed invasions by Fulani militias. And as a result of that, so many communities have been displaced, so many lives, men, property worth billions of naira destroyed or looted by the invaders. And then, of course, people have become internally displaced persons in their own land. And one other pathetic side of it is that no attention has ever been given to these Nigerians who deserve every human treatment, who deserve every respect, who deserve to be, accorded necessary attention. So of course, as people who are moved by conscience, which is our moral wall, and of course, with a country that has good laws, we have institutions that are established by law, and then of course, we have agencies, we have bodies that ought to, check up the situation of the IDPs and ensure that, they are treated as members of human family, but have failed in their both moral and statutory obligations that actually, impel me and as a CEO of Emancipation Center for Crisis Victims in Nigeria to raise up this, concern for needed action and needed attention, not only from Plateau State government, but also from Nigeria and well-wishers locally and internationally. So summarily, that is what informed putting up this particular petition for the world to know. And then we're very hopeful that this one has a kind of opened the eyes of people, and it has erased the erroneous impression and then misinformation that have been out there that there are no IDPs on the plateau, or these are people that are living their home state, unknown gunmen. This is to erase all those kind of misinformation that are in circulation, that they or maybe haters, farmers class. No, it is armed Fulani herdsmen or armed Fulani militias that are presently occupying these communities, and with government attention. Now, of course, Plateau State government, had said some months back that as far as it's concerned, there is no incident of land grab, and if at all there is, it has nothing before it's table for it to act upon. But now we are now waiting. Now that there is something credibly, sourced out and presented as a fact, we're waiting for action. So I think summarily that is what I can say concerning the situation in the plateau and in the state of the IDPs who have been outrightly neglected in their own home state.
All right. Now, if the actions by the Fulanis are contrary to the law, why have the law not been implemented since 2001? And why is this report just coming now?
Well, um, it has been since 2001, and then of course it's all about political will from the side of the government. The government is purposeful, of course. We expect there should have been action ever since, because the people have cried out for attention. They've cried out for restoration of their land. But it has fallen on deaf ears. And then as an individual, Emancipation Center for Crisis Victims in Nigeria was just registered in 2018. And as a result of the born desire for equal treatment, for equity and justice, as well as good conscience, that we have to come out to raise this concern. So of course, if ECCVN had been on ground long ago, of course, we would have brought it to the government's attention. And then despite the outcry raised by these victims over their lands that have been grabbed, for instance, in Soap community of Riom local government here on the Plateau, the people were attacked, sacked from the ancestral home state. And then the Fulani went and destroyed, the remaining structures that were still standing and erected their own structures on the foundation laid by those persons, by the inhabitants. They wrote a petition. They raised a concern. There've been at some point in time, protests being staged so that it will draw government attention, to look onto the matter. But it all fall on deaf ears. So of course, we cannot continue lamenting. We cannot continue, crying out in the media, with something concrete and place it before the government. And then we will then see whether the government has conscience or not. And
let me just interject here. I'm sorry, let me just interject here now. Are you saying that the government are aware of these issues and are intentionally ignoring it?
Very much, undoubtedly, government is somewhat aware because they've been killing. And all the government will say that government is on top of the situation. And then we've never seen any action, even at times that there will be arrest, there will be no prosecution. At times, information will come. Credible security intelligence will be gathered and disseminated to the appropriate quarters, to the authority concerned. Yet there will be no action. Communities will be invaded in both broad daylight and in the night time, even when there is high presence of security personnel, yet there will be killing, of course. I remember 2018, that John community in Riom local government was attacked. Information got to the security 2-3 days before the incident. A day before then, even some hours before then. We call on government attention, the security personnel. This community will be attacked. The attackers are advancing. Despite the presence of security in that particular community, 12 people were killed. Over 25 houses were razed down. Over 13 people were injured, including little children, in the presence of the military. And then, of course, it is on record based on the petition written by that community that some of the military personnel participated in the killing of the people they were stationed to protect. And then the people petitioned it. But up to date, as I'm talking to you, there's never been action. None of the community members have ever been invited for interview or to kind of further information, building up.
I'm sorry again, Barrister. I'm sorry again.
Yep.
Do you have evidence for these allegations you just made?
If there are petitions, I wrote a petition against the STF, that is Operation Safe Haven, here on the Plateau. I served it on the National Human Rights Commission. I served it on the Defense Headquarters. I served it on the authority within Plateau. I have the records. If you need it, I'll furnish them to you. Nothing happened. I've never been invited for once by the STF, to come and explain as to why, come and substantiate this petition that you've written. Of course, as a result of that, I'm telling you authoritatively, there is a matter even in court that arose from the two petitions, the one written by Emancipation Center for Crisis Victims in Nigeria and the one written by John Community. We have a matter in court. There was a time that, military and then went and deposited the corpses. And these are vigilantes who there was an attack, and then the vigilante rushed to the scene of the incident, having informed the military that some people have been attacked. Let's rush and save lives. They didn't go until after an hour or after an hour 30 minutes. The military went and then still went and killed the people that were waiting for them to come and evacuate the corpse of a young man that was killed by the Fulani. They killed 3 out of 17 that were arrested. As if that wasn't enough, they still took those guys and then donated the corpses to the evangelical hospital here in Jos. Yet the military went and denied that they only arrested 14 instead of 17. Later on, it was found out in the hospital that it was military, that is the escape operation Safe Haven, that went and deposited those corpses after killing those guys who had helped them instead of them to have rushed to the scene of incident so that they will save the situation, but they rather folded their hands. And then these young people unarmed went to the scene, and then you went and killed about 2 or 3 of them. So all these things are not hearsay. I'm talking authoritatively. In short, it is on that basis that I wrote, when Plateau State government constituted this endears panel, I also wrote a petition. I petitioned the panel, and the services were meted, the processes were tapped on the STF, that is Operation Safe Haven. They didn't appear. We expected they will come, to defend themselves.
All right, remember that you can join us on this conversation simply by raising up a digital hand, and we'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Remember that the barrister has asked us to let him go on time. So if you have questions, you'll have to ask it now. Now, if the anti-land grabbing law was signed just last year, according to your petition, should it still affect the events of 2001 and previous years before it was signed?
Well, if you look at the petition critically or very well, you discover that we've kind of premised it not only on the anti-land or by the virtue of the anti-land grabbing law, but of course we also have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, that's 1999, that provides fundamental rights that every individual in Nigeria is entitled to own or possess land anywhere in Nigeria, provided that the laws, the procedures of acquisition of land are followed. And of course, it is not within the contemplation of our legislation and also the judicial authorities we have available that a land by way of, we know that the way of acquiring a land is one, when you are there acquiring as a virgin land, being in possession of it as a virgin land, or by way of grant when it is given to you, by way of sale when you buy it from another, by way of uninterrupted long possession, and then when you are able to establish the adjacent land that are therein belonging to other and then your own, those are the means or the mode of acquisition of land or proof of ownership of land here in Nigeria. But in this case, 21st century, Fulani herdsmen attack communities, kill at will, maim life, sack the inhabitants and occupy the land, and then government that is saddled with constitutional or statutory obligation of protecting life and guaranteeing the safety of them, and as well as promoting and protecting the welfare of its citizens, has outrightly failed. So it is not only premised, the petition is not only premised on the anti-land grabbing law. No, the Constitution is there, the Land Use Act is also there, and other relevant legislation. So of course, if someone is arguing that, if someone is arguing that, of course, anti-land grabbing law should not take retrospective effect, that is to say, it cannot cover the incident that took place before its enactment or before its establishment. Well, it may hold water, but what about the Constitution that is the ground norm, which now tests the veracity of every law? The Constitution does not provide that. Norms does not provide that. So where have the Fulani, gotten or arrogated this power and this right to themselves and attacking communities, attacking villages, and nobody is saying anything. Nobody is condemning it. Now, we are living in a world, we are living in a part of the world that promotes animals' rights. And Fulanis have been given primacy over, they have now become first-class citizens, whereas others have been subjected to not only second class, but third class or non-entities in the land. In short, others don't deserve to live. Of course, that is what is being played out today.
All right.
So,
now, regarding this,
the land grabbing law has only added credence, to the provision of the Constitution.
All right. Regarding this petition we are still talking about, has the Plateau State government acknowledged your petition? And can you give us any updates on what have been happening since you petitioned the government?
Well, as a matter of fact, I've long anticipated government response, immediate response, since it is the same government that had said some weeks back that it does not have any records before it as to the incident of land grab. Now that it's there, now if it's a government that has a political will in pursuing matters diligently, especially matters that has to do with fundamental rights of people, of its citizens, of its people, we expected that by now I would have either been invited, or affected communities would have been invited to furnish more information. But as we are talking now, I am never aware, and none of these communities have I received any call there from that government is inviting them as a response, or as in reaction to the petition that is now before it. Despite the fact that it has taken a media, it has gone viral in the media world, calling on it to act. But to now, we've not heard anything. However, I don't want to lose hope. I'm still patiently waiting, anticipating that Right Honorable Simon Bako Lalong will accordingly act.
All right, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising your digital hand, and we'll try to take as much questions and comments as possible. Now, if the government fails to respond, what is your next move? What do you plan to do?
If government does not act, of course, anti-land grabbing law was not made by individuals, but it's the popular will of the people, popular agitation of the people, that there should be such a law. And it has been initiated, and it has been passed as a bill, and the governor has assented on it. Now it has become a legislation. And in the legislation, there is a clause that provides for constitution or formation of a task force. And then the task force has been given the mandate to act. And then if government does not act, of course, the government could be compelled by the appropriate, organ to see that it's inaugurated, because the governor went on air and said that there is already a task force. He has constituted a task force to look onto clamor over land grab on the plateau. So we are expecting him to inaugurate, since it is not his own formation, it is not his own will, personal will, but it's the mandatory requirement of the anti-land grabbing law that there shall be. And we know that once it is mandatory, he has to act. If he does not act, there is another independent organ of government that will act, will mandate him to act. But of course, I know the governor as a gentleman. He will listen to the cry of the people, passionate appeal and cry of the people to inaugurate the anti-land grabbing law. But if it does not, of course, we will go and test the veracity, the position of the law, so that to know whether the government has a discretionary power not to act. If the court, affirms that the governor shall not be mandated to form such a task force, beautiful, we will have no option than to possibly go and further test such, position of the court, or who accept it that this is the fate of the people. But of course, I know the court will not be reluctant in acting accordingly. And I'm praying that the government will inaugurate the task force, and then we'll see what comes out of this petition.
All right, because you've asked us to let you go, I'm just going to ask this question now. Is it possible to involve the judiciary arm of government and the legislative arm of government in this petition if the executive failed to give a positive, proper response?
Of course, these are independent organs of government, and similar a copy of this particular petition have been equally addressed to the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, so that in an event the executive fails to act or refuses to act, I believe the legislature could draw the attention of the government, or could use its own, quasi-executive power to also act. And then, of course, where it fails, the court too, once it is approached with this particular issue, the court will accordingly act. Because the reason why we are writing the government, because the executive power is vested in the governor. He's the chief security officer of the state. And we expect that by the grace of God, he is to, be not only responsible to the yearnings of the people, but should also be responsive. So we want to see that response from his own end. And then, of course, if he fails to, we will also take it to the other, lawful dimension to see what comes out of it. So the court can act, the legislators, that is the Plateau State House of Assembly, can act, as well as the executive governor. But of course, it is when the government fails, that is when the executive or the legislator, the legislature fails, then we can now resort to the last hope of a common man, that is the court.
Okay, and just before I let you go, last question. Can you outline the action you hope to get from the government, or the response you hope to get from the government?
Yeah, we are hoping, going by our prayer in the petition, that one, government will inaugurate this task force, and the task force will swing into action. Because the task force has been empowered to not only entertain petitions or complaints from affected individuals or communities, but they've also been empowered to demolish all structures that are erected on the land grab, and to also take other necessary action. So we're expecting that government will do that, and then to also fine those individuals. Government can also take a legal action on those individuals that have grabbed people's land, because it is illegal. It is statutorily prohibited. So we're expecting that government will swing into action, thereby, arresting those persons who are alleged to have grabbed people's land by way of arms, and to also arraign them before the court of law, so that they will face, they will face the penalty provided therein. And we're also expecting that government will also, summon all the villages that have been affected by this invasion, so that we will also hear more, the detail of what transpired, and then of course the plight of the people and their respective positions, aside what is contained in that petition. So those are the, areas or prayers we have stated that we are expecting responses from the authority that be. and any
All
other
right.
prayer that we've stated therein.
All right. We're about to round up now, but let's just take one question from Mr. Ilumba and then we'll round up.
Well, my question to you, sir, Barrister Solomon, is: do you consider the seizure and annexation of these land from 102 communities, does it amount to genocide, in your opinion?
Of course, there is, in short, there is high substance of genocide or elements of genocide in the annexation of this community. For instance, on the 23rd July 2018, over 9 communities, villages, were simultaneously invaded in broad daylight at about 2 p.m. I remember that day, it was on Saturday. Over 9 villages in both Riom and Varitiladi local government areas of Plateau State. And the deaths recorded were not less than 250 people. In just one day, or within within 3 days at most, people were killed. And most of those communities had high presence of military personnel, security personnel, let me put it in that right perspective. And then we've not heard of any investigation, not at all. And these are unarmed people that were killed. It is not a clash. So we want the world to get the narratives, straight and clear, that genocides have been perpetrated on the plateau. It is ongoing, and even up to date. Like what happened sometime, this year, between May to August in Bassa local government, where over hundreds of people were maimed in cold blood by the armed Fulani militia. And these are communities that are right behind, 3rd Armored Division, that does not even require a call from the people before intervention. But you could imagine that attackers spent over 11 hours without presence of the military. Now, what do we call this one? Is it not genocide that has the complicity on the part of the authority that has been saddled with the responsibility of protecting those lives? So there is high genocide, not just a genocide, not just a mere genocide, but there is a high genocide here on the plateau. And then, of course, they will have to kill the people. They will have to sack them out before occupying the community. Those were not virgin land. Those communities were occupied by the inhabitants, native inhabitants. But today, they have become, lands belonging to the Fulani. And nobody is saying anything. Now, we know that, when we are talking about party to an offense, it's not only the person that actively participated in the commission of that crime that is a party, but it's someone who has aided it, someone who has counseled another to do it, someone who has failed to stop a crime when there is a public duty imposed on him to have acted, to have prevented a crime. So, of course, when we're talking about genocide, it's not only the Fulani, but the security personnel that refuse or that fail on their constitutional or statutory public duty to have acted or to have stopped that. So, of course, summarily, there is high genocide on the plateau, and it's still happening up to date. It's still happening up to date.
All right, thanks so much, Barrister. I want to let you go, but I am seeing just one more hand, and after that, we'll round up. Thank you so much. Maziokoye, try to keep it as brief as possible. We have kept the barrister more than he asked us to, so please be as brief as possible. Maziokoye, I've asked you to unmute. Kindly unmute.
Well, thank you, Augusta. Thank you, Barrister, for coming to and speak to us. My question is there any plans or sort of mitigating efforts to prevent further land grabs from these Fulanis that you know of?
Yeah. On the face of things, or on the face of it, there is, you know, or there are steps that have been taken even before now, you know, to cut down this menace by deployment of security personnel and stationed in some of these communities. But it appears to have been like, you know, encouraging the invaders to continue perpetrating this crime and genocide. So on the look of it, it appears to, you know, to have been, you know, planned to cut down this situation. One, of course, the presence of security in some of these villages. But it has not helped. And then it therefore appears to have been that maybe the security personnel are overwhelmed, so they cannot contend with the situation, or that there is a compromise, collusion with the headers, and that is a non-fact. Secondly, there have been series of peace meetings, dialogue. So of course, we will not say that there are no steps taken, but it has appeared to be like a kind of ploy to, you know, calm the nerves and suspicions raised by these victims, so that the Fulani will now come and invade again. Because having followed keenly on the modus operandi of the Fulanis in attacking communities, or when it comes to attacking, you know, unsuspecting communities, a day that there will be peace meeting, that will be a day there will be a surprising attack on the natives. And that has been the trend from 2001 to 2016, according to how I've keenly followed up. So of course, it has been that, you know, it has always been like a ploy.
But one other question, just quickly. Has the natives learned any lesson since all these things has been happening? What lesson has the native learned in terms of how to, you know, protect themselves, or, you know, how to go about it? Because natives have learned. That is why, you know, they are enrolling into community policing, neighborhood watch, hunters association, because that is where, you know, they could be licensed to handle, you know, or to be in possession of them guns for self-protection and protection of their community. But of course, that arrangement is not enough, because the attackers come with sophisticated arms, AK-47, you know, rocket launchers, and other related arms. And then, of course, the natives are left with using bows and arrows, you know, sticks, and then those then got locally made rifles. So of course, that is possibly the lesson they have learned, and then now they are trying to rise up. That is why some of us, as a lawyer, I keep advocating for you know, for a legislation that will empower or that will warrant people to acquire firearms for self-protection. And then I keep saying for self-protection, since the authority that is saddled with the responsibility of protecting life has woefully failed in its mandate. So of course, human life is sacrosanct, and no one has the right or the power to take another one's life until when it is a court of law upon conviction. But of course, some individuals have been allowed, some individuals appear to have been encouraged to take up arms and kill at will. And there is no any drastic measures taken to copy that or to arrest the situation. The few that have been arrested, you still see them parading. And the Fulani will drop you and tell you to your face that even if he's arrested, nothing will happen to him. He will still be arrested. He will still be released. And then once they are released, they become more terroristic. That more than what they were before the time of the incident. So what do you call that one? It is judiciable that they've been encouraged to carry on perpetrating these crimes against humanity and genocide.
Okay, sir.
Communities are crying that there should be legislation. I'm also re-echoing that voice that there should be a legislation allowing individuals to acquire firearms to protect themselves. However, it should be under the supervision of the police. And then I'm also crying out, I'm also laying in my voice that please, as a matter of fact, based on what we have witnessed, the Operation Safe Haven, that is the military should be withdrawn and be replaced with mobile police, because it appears to be relying on a particular medication that particular illness has kind of defied. And it is only a fool that remains in a sinking ship, that stays back in a sinking ship. So let us also employ another method or another security measure by deploying, replacing them, so that replacing the mobile police, military, and then we see whether there will be improvement in the security situation or not. And then where there is no improvement, there's an artist that says where you have tried all medication and it proves abortive, it therefore means this particular illness has defied all, and then it can claim life. But where we remain on one particular, over time, it therefore means something is wrong, not on the people that are invading, but on the system that is put in place to bring about positive change, to bring about equity, justice, and fairness.
All right, sir. I know we said we're not going to keep it for an hour, but is it possible to stay longer, because we have more participants with their hands up wanting to ask you questions? Is it possible? All right,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Let's take as many questions as we can.
Okay, Mr. Enoba, your hand is still up. Remember that if you've asked a question, kindly put your hand down so that I would know not to call you again.
Yes, I have questions, but let's allow other participants to ask, those who haven't had a bite, to throw their questions, please.
Okay, I've asked you to mute. Kindly unmute and ask your question. That's okay. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening, brother.
Please, can I just make a comment?
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to confirm almost everything the barrister has said. And when you look at the history of the killings on the Plateau, government has not been a neutral party in the whole issue. In 2010, when the crisis assumed its present dimension, the commander of the Operation Safe Haven, that time it was Special Task Force, STF, was a Hausa man and a Muslim, Major General Salim Maina. And he majored both as the commander of the Rukuba barracks and the STF. And the killings in Dogona Hawa took place during his time. When the time came for him to be replaced, he was replaced by Major General Idoko, now a Christian and a middle belt, our brother. From nowhere, Abuja decided to separate the command structure. Idoko was not, was only made GOC. He was not to command the STF. A new commander was brought for the STF, another Hausa man and a Muslim. So when you look at the entirety of the leadership of the Operation Safe Haven, there has been a lot of ethno-religious politics in the consideration of who man that responsibility. And that has actually brought out a situation where government is not an uninterested party. Government is behind what is happening. And when you have such a situation, you can't have a military or a security outfit that is sincere and objective. Because the rule of engagement defies that. We have seen situations where villages are attacked. The security people are watching. It is only when the locals start to react, to respond to the attack, that the security people will now come and begin to arrest the natives. That has been the pattern all along. So like somebody else, the barrister, what are the natives, what have they learned, and what are they doing? I would honestly want to believe that, to tell you that we in the attacked villages would have preferred to be without any security agencies. Let's face ourselves with the Fulanis. If they win us, they take the land. But in a situation where we have not been allowed to face them and prove the love for our land, yet the thing is going on. It is when they are attacking, nobody comes. When you are resisting, that is when the security men will come. It has been like that all along, and people will not understand this. Because the problem we are facing in Plateau, as we are talking now, yesterday or the day before yesterday, a village was attacked in was a local government. 10 people were killed. More than that number are already facing life-threatening injuries in hospitals. So this issue has, and if you ask our state government now, they will tell you there's relative peace in Plateau State. Because what is now happening is that people are just being hit. You are on your way, maybe from the farm to your house. They will just kill you quietly. And the natives since nobody seems to believe us, it's like the question now that arises now is, oh, how many are killed today? If you say 5, oh, thank God, it's low. So it's not as if the killings have stopped. It is just that the strategy has changed. We're picking people one by one instead of going for mass attack, in which case there could be collateral damage on both sides. But let me just conclude by saying that this issue is not a challenge that the present crop of military in Nigeria, the Operation Safe Haven cannot address. No. It is because either the rule of engagement given to them is not to end the crisis, or they have found the crisis as a means of making other means for themselves. And it is deliberate. If it is not deliberate, let me conclude, please. Sorry, I'm taking much of our time. What happened in Rigweland days before the Rukuba Road attack that was highly celebrated all over Nigeria, where about 30 or 40 people were killed? I know life is life. Now, before that time, over 100 Irigwe people were killed. Nobody talked. The president didn't lose his appetite to eat. Sheikh Daniel Rubachi didn't say anything. No other sheikh from anywhere else spoke. Nobody spoke. But when 40 or so people were killed, well, of course, a lower figure, the whole country became overwhelmed, as if those lives are better than the previous one. So this is the issue we have on the plateau. And unless government is sincere to address this issue, it will continue. Government is certainly, I have no reason to doubt this, government is behind the killings of our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gyan. Let's just listen to the professor. Professor, I have asked you to unmute.
Hello, good evening. I've listened to the deliberations, the discussions, the complaints, and all that. What is happening in our country, Nigeria, is very serious. We're in very critical moments. Unfortunately, We have an insensitive government that has refused to listen to the cry of Nigerians and has refused to do the needful. I am very sure that if the government wants to stop these things that are happening, today they will stop it. If they want to stop even the terrorist attacks, Boko Haram, bandits, and all the rest, they will do it. It's very simple. But they are not interested for selfish reasons. And I don't know, they are not interested to stop insurgency. They are not interested to stop herdsmen attacks. They have even refused to call the herdsmen terrorists. President Buhari will never call the herdsmen terrorists. People are putting pressure on him. They have to put all manner of pressure to even get a declaration of bandits as terrorists. Let me just share a little experience. I stayed in East Africa for some time. I just returned back to the country 2 years back or so. This kind of herdsmen attacks was what Uganda used to experience in the 80s, late 80s and all that. They had herdsmen attacking and killing at will, carrying rifles, carrying guns, until the current president of Uganda came to power, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And what he did was to tell the herdsmen, you cannot be moving about with your cattle everywhere. You can't be disturbing the peace of the country. You have to be restricted to a certain part of the country. You have to go to the Karamoja region of Uganda, stay there with your cattle and do whatever you want to do there. But you cannot be harassing innocent citizens and you cannot be killing people. And he gave them an ultimatum, a deadline. And some of them complied, others refused to comply. Others decided to fight the government instead of complying. Some of them decided to carry arms to fight, just like our herdsmen are doing now. And what Museveni did was to release the military. The military went and neutralized them, and they were pushed to the Karamoja region. To this day, more than 30 years after, Uganda has lived in peace as far as these herdsmen carrying rifles and attacking people is concerned. This is why I'm saying that the government doesn't want to do the needful because we have an insensitive government. If they want to do the needful today, they will do it. These herdsmen should not be roaming about everywhere. Nigeria is about the only country on earth where you see cattle competing on the road with cars and motorcycles, entering people's farms, entering houses, entering schools and occupying everywhere. Nigeria is about the only country on earth that is still so backward and primitive to be allowing these kind of things to happen. So what we need to do is that we know that the government is not going to listen. So our people must come up with a strategy to defend themselves at all costs. You don't allow herdsmen to attack you and then you want to maybe try to attack back after you've been attacked. No. They said that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Eternal vigilance. I've gone around some of the rural areas in Plateau State, and the people are too relaxed. They are not vigilant. Even when you give them caution that, look, be vigilant, open your eyes, defend yourselves, you know, but they're too relaxed. You see some highly porous communities, locations that an attack can come at any moment. Why? Because the men are busy, they're busy drinking, and they drink themselves, get drunk, and sleep. Those kind of men cannot resist any attack when it comes. Our people in Plateau must rise. They must learn from a few regions in this country that have been able to resist the herdsmen successfully. And I can give you names of places where they have resisted the herdsmen successfully without the help of the government, and the herdsmen dare not go to those areas. So if we keep crying and waiting for the government to act, I can tell you the current government has no plans to act because the president is a herdsman. What do you want him to do? He's not going to do anything. You have a government that loves cattle, love cows more than human beings. What are they going to do? They're not going to do anything. We'll just keep
All right,
crying and
Prof, I would ask you to
ourselves.
please round
So
up now.
our people must strategize to defend themselves, and God will help us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let us listen to our guest and we will round up. Barrister, are you there? Barrister?
Yep, I'm there. Can you get me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So you've heard the submissions of our participants. Just if you want to react, you're free to react, and then your concluding statement, and we will conclude.
Yeah. Of course, comments have been made, and those are realities on ground. Government has chosen not to do the needful. Government has chosen to rather impolitely encourage, terrorism and terror attacks on individuals. Better said it. Any form of invasion that will last for 24 hours, government must have a hand in it. He was an authority. And he has seen that because there can never be a system and government, Nigeria as a country with all the military formations we have, with the security intelligence, and then bandits and the Fulani herdsmen or militias and all of all of that are just maiming life, raping, kidnapping, and stuff like that. And then nobody, and then it appears to be well in Nigeria that has become like a zoo. And of course, in zoo, there are demarcations. Every animal has been, tamed, has been demarcated, has an enclosed environment. But in Nigeria, the Fulani has been released, like foot soldiers to go and do whatever Fulani is the one that determines what is right and what is wrong in this country. So of course, if you look at what is happening to houses in Zamfara, in Yobe, in other places. Fulani has become an uncommanded commander in this country. He kills and no one says anything. But you dare not touch him, you dare not resist him. So then who is fooling who? And then that is why you see the people in the south, people in the eastern axis are clamoring for self-actualization. And these people are right. Of course, the sanctity of human life is no longer respected in this country. But a Fulani man, his own life is as sanctity as possibly more than that of an angel. You cannot touch him, you cannot resist. There are communities that have been attacked, and in the process of resisting the invaders, some of the Fulanis were either shot by themselves, or in the process of resistance, they were killed by by the unsuspecting communities. And then that is when you see military action mustering itself. That why will you kill a Fulani? That a Fulani man was killed, and the whole thing appears to be unbelievable. As if we are living in abyss. As if
okay, Barrister.
Yeah.
Barrister, I'm sorry to interject. Barrister, I'm sorry to interject. Let's just take just one more. Issa Ahmed, I've asked you to unmute. Keep it under a minute. The barrister has to leave.
But please, I have an engagement now. I wish to go. I told you an hour, and then of course I have people waiting for me.
I understand. I understand.
Unless it's going to be a brief and a
under
very
30
short
seconds.
I think we should allow the barrister to do it now, and then we will continue the conversation if necessary.
Okay. Isa Ahmed is not even unmuting, so let us allow the barrister to round up. Barrister, round up, please.
Yeah. So I'm calling on Nigerians. I'm calling on the government to please rise up to the occasion and guarantee safety of every Nigerian. Let there be equal treatment. Let there be justice. Let the rule of law prevail. Because of course, the president must understand that his office is a creation of the law. And he is not above the law. So let every Nigerian be given a fair play. Let the Hausa man be given a fair play. Let the Biro man be given a fair play. Let an Irigwe man be given a fair play. Let the people in Meduguri be given a fair play. That is all we are clamoring for. That is what we are crying out for. But in a situation that everything has been lopsided, of course, you can see even the appointment of the security chiefs. What then do you expect? And I want to allude it to a biblical, verse that says, "To your tent, O Israel." Is that what government is encouraging us to do? That what portion do we have in this system, in this current administration? Is what the government is expecting from us? And then if that is what is expecting of them, it's very unfortunate. It therefore means the government has woefully failed. But of course, there is still hope for Nigeria. Nigeria will rise again. But it's only when the people, think positively and act accordingly. When the system cannot guarantee the safety of individual people to rise up and ask the government to leave. That is why the end-phase protest was staged. And then people were clamoring, Buhari must go. So if the president cannot act, if the president is incapacitated, he should declare it. So that we will know that, yes, let the vice president take over. Let there be change in this system so that we can have a better Nigeria. Please, Fulani people should stop killing Nigerians. They should know that every life will be accounted, even not here on earth, in heaven. There is judgment. And I'm trusting God that God will soon release his judgment on the wicked. So that is my own humble submission. The world, we are crying out here on the plateau, we are crying out in the middle belt, we are crying out in other parts of the country that have been invaded, that have been, have been affected by the, menace of Fulani herdsmen, to allow people, to allow communities, to allow individuals, have their land and then enjoy life. Enjoy life, because every human life is important. That's my humble submission this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Fruitful deliberation.
Thank you so much. And that's as much as we can take on today's explicit interview. We have been discussing recovering the 102 communities seized and annexed by the Fulani herdsmen in Plateau State. Special thanks to our guest. He is the CEO, Emancipation Center for Crisis Victims in Nigeria, Barrister Daniel Solomon. Thank you so much for coming, sir. And special thanks to everybody that contributed, the people that asked questions, the people that made comments. Remember that even after the barrister leaves, you are all invited to stay back and let's have a heart-to-heart conversation after the program will stop being live streamed. And from me, Augusta Neka, it's a good night. Thank you so much for joining today. Mr. Enumba, I'm handing over to you.
Hello.
All right, thank you. Let's now hear from Isa Ahmed. It's still being streamed, by the way. Let's hear from Isa Ahmed.
Yes, thank you so much.
The live streaming is still on.
Yes.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
Okay,
thank you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
I had some challenges with technology. I am an analog. I like the conversations, but what makes me uncomfortable is that we have not proper solution. The narrative is always ostracizing a kind of a tribe. Criminality is not about tribe. People are recommending that We should limit the movement of the Fulanis. We do not look, not every Fulani, not every herdsman is a violent person. This violence is a new phenomenon. And by blanketing all herdsmen as criminals, I think we are not trying to create solution to the problem. Certainly nobody is happy with the killings on the Plateau, all over the nation. But certainly we cannot make progress by trying to vilify a section of society. What is happening in the Plateau is distasteful. Certainly nobody is happy. But people must have to learn to live together. We cannot say that we limit the movement of people while the law, the constitution of the country clearly provides that people are free to move. We get people from all over the place. I am from Kano State. We have people from Plateau State, from all over living in Kano and owning property. Likewise, our brethren from the East. So to begin to classify people along their own ethnicity or religion, I think is a bad way to go about in this country. So please, I like the discussion. I understand looking at the participant, I'm the only one probably odd out. People are angered, but the killings are happening all over the nation. So we have to find solution. It's not about Plateau being singled out or about any person being singled out. The Fulanis are being killed much as they are killing other people. Certainly we have to find solution to those problems. But to begin to weaponize the discussion by trying to vilify a section, I think we are not making progress, sincerely speaking. So let us try to look at what is happening. Some people are calling the president a herdsman. No, he's not a herdsman. People don't even.
I can.
Yeah, let him finish. Allow him to make his point, and then, because let's allow Esther to.
Our own this control our anger. There is a prevalent situation in the country. Let us try to address it. It's not about ethnicity. It's not about religion. There are multiplicity of factors, environmental, poverty, very many issues. There is no one single variable. Let us look at all the variables and try to see how we can make progress incrementally. But to begin to vilify a section, I think is a bad way to go. Plateau used to be a very peaceful place. I lived there for some time. Most of my cousins were born there. But I'm telling you, when you divide people alongside essence, calling this one settle this, is not the way to go. Plateau used to be a very peaceful place for all. Like my own state of Kano. Most people you find in Kano speaking house are not houses. We have people from all over Nigeria operating business, settling here without any problem. So please, let us not try to create lines of division. Such people must be confined to their environment. We are not kangaroos. We must live freely in our country. Everybody should be allowed to move. How can you now suggest, like those who are saying this grazing should be restricted? How can you say their economic lifeline must be strangulated? It's not correct. There has to be a way we regulate these things. These are challenges of life. We have to find a solution to them. But beginning to say that they must not move, they must be confined to a place. Where do you have the fodder for them to feed upon? Why do they must have to, transhumance is natural. They must move, cattle must move from areas of dry land to areas where there's grass and move back to the areas of dry during the wet season. So for you to begin to advocate that they must be confined to a particular area.
Thank you. Let's allow, we thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you very much for your contribution. Let's allow Thompson to speak. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can hear me now, I guess.
Hello.
Yes.
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 Okay. I'm so happy that Mr. Ahmed was allowed to speak. And it's so, I was expecting a divergent approach, because he was saying that all the discourse was lamentation and we are not providing solution. And when he gets the opportunity to speak, can he just help us with providing what is the solution? Let him help us, and then maybe we'll pick it up from there. That's just my input.
Thank you. Part of the solution is to broaden the discourse. We must move away from sentiments of hate, beginning to see things dispassionately. Why are the herdsmen coming? We live by Fulanis. You see, the Fulanis are kind of, they are an ethnic group that some are not even herdsmen, but they are Fulanis. You hardly can even distinguish them. There is intermarriage between them. So when you blanket Fulanis as killers, I think you are missing the point. Now, if the herdsmen have a problem, maybe some carry arms, particularly those who cross the borders, then that's where our security architecture comes into. Try to regulate movement of those herdsmen that come on annual transhumance from Mali, Niger, and other places. Ensure that they do not bear arms. Most of our herdsmen carry sticks and machete at best. I grew up with them. I have never seen a herdsman with the herdsmen we live with carrying guns. So those carrying guns are coming from conflict zones. There are other issues to do with regional security, issues of environment. These are issues we must have to address. When the land is desiccating, the environment is changing. The livestock are looking for water and looking for fodder. All the land has been transformed into farmlands. The livestock routes have been converted into farmlands by greedy local government and community leaders. Those are cattle tracts and resting places that were created since pre-colonial times, and they allow for free movement. They have been converted into.
Mr. Ahmed, let me ask you a question at this point.
Yes.
The problem with discussing this herdsmen issue in Nigeria, I have noticed over several interviews on this forum, is that it's not your fault, by the way, I'm not picking you out, but it appears most people fail to distinguish between different aspects of terrorism, banditry, killings, and criminality in each particular state of the Federation. So do you think that what is happening in Plateau State, the seizure and annexation of lands, is being carried out by Fulani herdsmen, or simply a different types of Fulani who are simply acquiring land? Because if it's herdsmen are always on the move.
Herdsman does not require land. He doesn't take land. He doesn't own property.
Exactly. So that's why I'm asking you, do you think what is happening in Plateau State is being carried out by herdsmen, or a different type of Fulani who are simply set out to acquire land and annex it for themselves by sacking the communities?
I've seen that narrative. Some of them are even trying to link it to the jihadist period of Usman. These are all nonsense. It's diversion. Certainly, we have to look at issues. Like I said, the variables are very many. In Plateau, the issue may be different. We have to look at them dispassionately. Why are the killings happening in Plateau?
So in your opinion, what do you think? What do you think is happening in Plateau State?
Well, you see, very many factors. There is lack of accommodation. I told you, I know Plateau State very well. I live in Plateau. It's one of the places I cherish to live. But today, when you go to Plateau, it's divided along a lot of land. It has been a long-standing issue. We have to learn to accommodate. Like I told you, I live in Kano State. Most of my cousins were born in Plateau State. But I'm telling you, since time immemorial, when you go to Plateau State, people are not allowed to go to public school. They call them non-indigenous. It is not true. Please, let us be objective. Most of my colleagues came to Kano State to take scholarship. But he come to Kano State, we find Igbos, we find Yorubas being paid scholarship and their own property. Why can't Nigeria be free for all, for people to settle?
All right, thank you. Because we have a limited time, let's allow them.
Problem. You see, the people of Plateau State call themselves indigenous. You see, nobody owns the monopoly of a land.
All right,
you can
Mr. Ahmed, because we have limited time, let's allow other people to come.
The people live there, but they must have to understand that those who come to settle in Plateau come to add value. They must not be ostracized. In Kano State, we have Igbos who have been elected as members of the House of Representatives. Some of them, you cannot even distinguish them. But people heap insult on Hausa and Fulani and this and that. So what I'm trying to say is, let us try to lessen tension, accommodate one another. There may be recalcitrant, but there is nothing like an agenda by the Fulani to take over land. I don't know of that. I don't know that. And people now hoist this jihadism, and it is crazy.
Okay,
the Sultan of Sokoto is
all right.
barely.
Let's allow Mr. Pam.
Let me
Let's allow
conclude.
Rampam Jr. to.
Let me conclude.
Yes.
The Sultan of Sokoto used to be the paramount leader of the entire Umar Caliphate. No longer so. He's now confined to Ibn Sokoto State. But people are still saying the Sultan is presiding over organizing the Fulanis with Buhari. This narrative is false. Please let us stop peddling rumor. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. Buhari doesn't, in fact, Buhari doesn't have any contact with the Fulani telling them to go and acquire land. I don't belong to the APC. But let us call a spade a spade. Please let us stop deceiving people that there is an agenda by either the Fulanis or the Islamites. Nobody. In fact, in Islam, there is no compulsion. If you go to Quran, verse 2, chapter 2, verse 258, there's no compulsion in religion. Nobody is trying to compel anybody to change his religion. But people are...
Let's allow, Mr. Ahmed, we have had you. Thank you very much for your contribution. Let's allow other people also to respond. Mr. Pam, Rampam Jr.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Can you hear? Oh, okay. I was hoping to hear some form of direction from the gentleman, Mr. Ahmed, who just concluded, like the way forward. Apparently, he doesn't have any. People are being killed, and Fulanis are staying in their houses, in their land. And what form of accommodation is he talking about? We're not talking about government scholarship. We're not talking about people rearing cattle and passing in peace. We're not talking about Nigerians being restricted from being Nigerians, from living where they choose to. We're talking about over 40,000 people killed, 102 communities sacked, and Fulanis are occupying those lands. Is that a way of gaining accommodation? If they are passing herdsmen, what are they doing there? Believe me, if they had killed the people and passed, the people would have returned to their land and see how they could reject their lives and leave and that it is a generalization. Is there any tribe in any of those 102 communities that is not Fulani? So yes, it is Fulani. You cannot exonerate the president. It's not a matter of APC. Buhari is a grand patron of the Fulani Cattle Raiders Association of Nigeria till date. So he is culpable by implication. And his silence is also an indication of that fact. If people are killed in their own land, in broad daylight, in the night time, and they are ejected from their land, what is the way forward? I'm sorry, I will totally disagree with you that you have not profiled solutions. And Fulanis have killed people and they are living in their land. Thank you.
All right, I thank you very much. That is a very good point you've made, because if it's just a passing Fulani herdsmen, why are 102 communities being sacked? I don't know whether it's being controverted. Why are over 40,000 people being killed? And these people have not been allowed to go back to their land. So let's listen again to Professor Bami. Maybe he will tell us more on this issue. Professor P.H. Bami, please.
Thank you very much for giving me yet another opportunity to speak tonight. I think we need to tell ourselves the truth. A lot of times we want to sound politically right. And so we say, oh, the herdsmen are not bad. Oh, it is some foreigners. It is some people attacking. You know, all those kind of statements that come from the government or people want to be politically correct. And this is totally false. And we're not going to exchange words here with each other. We want to tell each other the truth. Who are these people that are attacking communities? Why is it that in every part of Nigeria, it is the same set of people? Why is it that we hear them speaking Fulfulde if they are not Fulanis? Why is it that we see them carrying AK-47s? They insult us in their own Fulfulde language. At gunpoints, they even insult people, insult their religion, and kill them, rip open pregnant women. The same people attack in the south, in the west, in the north, in the eastern part of Nigeria, in every part of Nigeria. Why is it the same people? Why is the whole country complaining only about Fulani herdsmen? It is true. Not every Fulani man is bad. I have Fulani friends. I've grown up with some Fulani friends, nice, wonderful people. But who are these Fulani herdsmen that people are complaining about in every part of the country? Why are people not talking about Igbos attacking? Why are people not talking about Yoruba or Ibibio or whatever all over the country attacking? Why is it one set of people? It is not trying to demonize an ethnic group. Nobody is saying that every Fulani man is like that. But there are these Fulani herdsmen. They're attacking in every part of the country. We know it. Let's not run away from the truth. This is the plain truth, the whole truth. Let's not deceive ourselves that it is only in Plateau they talk about indigens. There is no part of Nigeria where they don't talk about indigens. I've stayed in different parts of the country. And I can tell you that everywhere you go, people will say, we are indigens, you are non-indigens. We are not going to give you a job in the civil service because you are not from our state. It's not only peculiar to Plateau State. So let's not label Plateau State as the problem. So let's return back to these herdsmen that have become a nightmare all over the country. They have become such a nightmare that they appear on videos and they speak boldly without covering their faces. They have become nightmares that they can carry AK-47 and move about freely. And security men will not even do anything about it. If you just carry a knife and go out on the street, let them see you with a knife, you'll be arrested. But nobody is doing anything about the Fulani herdsmen. They'll be attacking you, invite the security men will not come until they have gone. This is a real problem. This is the big elephant in the room. We're running away from it. We're running away from the fact also that the government is not ready to address this problem. We have a very insensitive government that does not care and is not ready to do anything.
Yep,
And
Professor, thank you.
Let me emphasize this again. I'm rounding up. Rounding up. Please, let's tell ourselves the truth. The government is not ready to help us. We have to help ourselves. Let's stop being politically correct. Otherwise, these herdsmen will continue to kill us. These herdsmen will continue to annex our lands. These herdsmen will continue to perpetrate evil. This is the truth, the plain truth. Let's not run away from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Amina, please.
Hi. Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amina, and I am from Kano, and I am Hausa, not Fulani. And what I have heard so far, maybe I have joined late, but you see, we have gingered ourselves even more here as to how to dislike ourselves. I'm saying ourselves because we are all Nigerians, regardless. I think we are really, beating the wrong, the wrong horse. I don't know how the saying goes, but you see, we have a government that has sworn on the Bible and the Quran to protect us. Why are we not calling on that government? Why are we going to fight the people that the government knows is fighting us? It is not up to us. We can't be carrying arms, all of us, to protect ourselves. Some of us cannot. So we have a government that said it is going to protect us, and it's what it is going to protect. And the Constitution said it should protect us. So why are we not going there? Why are we fighting ourselves? When there's a person we should be fighting that he should be doing this work for us. I think we should start rethinking this way. I mean, for all that Prof said, the first few things he said, I'm not with. The last one that the last part of his discussion is what I have, understood and what I agree with. I think we should start calling on our government to do something about this. It is not up to us, to be honest with you. And if we say it's going to be up to us, there would be the government would be there, jetting all over the place, doing all the things they want to do while we are still fighting ourselves. And we'll be fighting ourselves. In fact, they would want us to fight ourselves so that they could continue to be jetting up and doing all the things that they like doing. I think we should start to rethink about Nigeria. I think it's high time we start being patriotic and stop being segregationist or ethnic or, tribalistic. And it is not in our favor. It is not even good for us if we really think about it. I personally have relations from all over the country. In fact, my own grandchildren are part Delta. I have people, relatives that are from Auchi. I have relatives from Calabar. So if this Nigeria is not our Nigeria, for God's sake, if it decides to disintegrate, God forbid, who do I choose? I think we have to start thinking deeply and not thinking of ourselves and not making it personal. With all due respect, my people, I think we should start relooking things. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, before you go, let me ask this question. What do you think is the solution to this particular?
I just said the solution. I just told you the solution. We have a government that is supposed to be doing this work for us. We should hold that government responsible.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a nice contribution.
Thank you.
Who has not made any contribution? Mazio Okoye, do you want to take a second bite, or Mr. Yang?
I don't mind.
I'd like to say something now.
All right, go ahead.
It's quite very well people saying that we have to come together. And, when you ask them to profile a concrete solution, they ask you to become patriotic while people are being killed and their lands being invaded and being taken away on a daily basis. Obviously, if everything is equal, then people wouldn't have any reason not to be patriotic. But in this instance, where people are being, displaced and, killed, it's very, very difficult for some people to be patriotic. I'm not going to be patriotic. So in terms of solution, how about Mr. Ahmed calling on all these Fulani marauders that goes everywhere with their cows and destroying properties and taking people's land to halt, to tell them to stop ravaging people's places and, hold back their horses, because they are the people causing this problem. Let the Fulanis, their upper echelons, their elites, call their own people to order. You cannot be saying, okay, that we are picking on one ethnic nationality, but they are the people that is making this, causing this havoc. That's why people are picking on them. They're not picking on them for the sake of it, because they single them out, or because they love picking on them because they're just Fulani. It's because there's something they're doing. That's why they've been picked on. So we must call a spade a spade. If they want this to stop, if Mr. Ahmed want this conversation to go in the right way, call your people to order. Tell them to stop. invading people and destroying people's properties and killing people. When you say that, then people will say that you're an honest broker. You can't just come out after they've been ravaging every place and say, okay, let's keep peace, let's do this and that, call the government. But we know that the government is not doing anything. Let the house, like the lady that just spoke, tell the Fulani to stop taking people's land. Stop it. That's my contribution. Thanks.
All right, thank you. We'll take
Can I say
more.
something on that?
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, you see, Mazi, with all due respect, you are looking at the Fulanis as if it is the Fulanis in Nigeria. When you come to look at Fulanis, they are all the way from the Senegal to the Sudan. In fact, some of the Kikuyu are also Fulani. You will find them in South Africa. These are people that know no borders. So tell me, who is going to hold them responsible if we don't hold our country responsible? Our country is supposed to secure our borders and make sure these marauders don't come in. If the country is not willing to do that, then of course it is free for all. Fulanis are not, look, Fulanis are not, don't have any country or any whatever. They don't have a territory at all. So how do you hold that somebody who does not have a territory responsible for a territory? Like I said, with all due respect, people, yes, we have been calling on the government, but if we're not tired of fighting ourselves, then we should not be tired of asking the government also to do this fight for us. We are not the only ones that have Fulanis. Other countries have Fulanis. Why are they not having the same problem? Because we have allowed our borders to be porous and other Fulanis or other people from anywhere, in fact, they may not be Fulanis, come into. Recently, I just saw something that went viral. Aircraft, coming down in Niger, or is it Chad, or, bringing all sorts of things to some people that were speaking Fulani. These are not Nigerians, and yet these arms end up in Nigeria. Who is going to secure that? The Hausa local man that is, wow, the person who is sitting with his turban in his sorrow that is going to call Fulani and tell them to stop? They don't even speak the language. I can't speak any full day. Listen, people, we have to be more circumspect in the way we think, to be honest with you. Otherwise, we will be having this kind of forums and we'll be gingering ourselves and making ourselves even more angry, and doing all sorts of things. We have to be more circumspect, please. Thank you very much.
All right.
We're happy that
Cholam, please. Let's hear from Cholam.
Please.
Hello.
Hello, we are only hearing from Cholam now. I'll meet every other person.
Okay.
Hello. I just want to make a quick point there that we will not be tired of calling on the government to do the needful. We've been.
Hello.
Senators have spoken.
We are listening to Professor Bameye is speaking.
People have been speaking. Even the barrister talking today has gone to the government. He has written letters. People have gone to court. People have done all manner of things. People have protested, carried placards. People have gone to government houses, done a government that doesn't want to secure our borders, that doesn't want to protect our citizens. Bandits are killing all over the country. Terrorists, kidnappers everywhere. What kind of government do we have? Is that the government not giving up? We're crying, calling on the government. Even as we're talking, I'm going to stick on the government. It is their responsibility.
Professor, you said a quick point. Let's go to Cholam and then we discuss a solution tonight. Cholam Jang, please, and then we stop the streaming and discuss the solution. Thank you. Mr. Jang, unmute yourself. Cholam?
I have done that.
Hello,
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Now, I think we seem to have modeled up the discourse right from the time Issa Ahmed came up. The whole thing, he succeeded in kind of diverting our attention because he deliberately created a mistake by not defining what the causes were and what the effects were. When you begin to talk about the effects as the causes, then it means you are either deliberately creating confusion or you are ignorant of the issues. And if you are ignorant of the issue, you may not likely be a major contributor here, because we are here to provide solutions. And I believe that the action of Barrister Solomon Solomon is a way towards it. There is an issue, and government has set up a committee, so he has brought up the complaint formally before government. Now, if this man said that he was, Ahmed said he was born and brought in Jos, and that there was peace in Jos, that peace that was in Jos, were there killings in villages in Jos that time? There are no killings. So now that this thing has come up, what has brought about the issue is not what the people are reacting to, is what has created this reaction. It is the action that he decided to cleverly avoid it.
Mr. Shalom, I didn't.
It's a wait.
I'm coming. And there is no way I can go to Kano today. And my name is Cholom Gyang. I have not changed my religion from Christianity to Islam. I'm Bia Shehu or Garba's name. I'm beginning to kill people in Kano. And you will tell me that Kano is peaceful, you accommodate everybody. It has never happened. When you are peaceful, you are accommodated. Now you start killing and grabbing land, and you are still saying that it is hateful for us to complain that we are being killed. I don't understand this. Now, when my sister was talking about not fighting ourselves, I think this takes me to what the federal government has been talking about, herders farmers clash. When the people in Miango were killed, over 100, how many Fulanis were killed? None. When the people in Barkin were killed in 2018, over 200 were killed within 2 days. How many Fulanis were killed? None. Is that fighting? When we complain, we are not fighting, please. Let's not try to create a situation that tends to look as if somebody is displaying an unsettled insensitivity. I don't think it's fair. We are talking about human lives here. People are being killed every day, and you call it fighting. Is that fighting?
Mr. Chalom, please hold your breath.
All right. Mr. Ahmed, just 1 second, please. I think we've listened to. Hello, please. Wait, please. Mr. Ahmed, can you wait, please?
No, let me respond.
Can you wait? Can you wait, please? We've had a very interesting interview with Barrister Solomon, who has left, and we've just had these conversations as a follow-up. So the only thing we need to discuss now is how do we find a solution. We'll stop the live streaming